For today's meandering here, Friday, November 14th, 2025, Jesse's joining me on this meander today, and we're going to head over to Sharrett's, which is the next block over. And what is that significant for? Well, back in April of 1983, it was the home of Sally Biegenwald, the mother of the Jersey thrill killer, Richard Biegenwald. And at the time, the authorities came to check out the property with a warrant. And they were soon upon the land looking for victims of her son, Richard Biegenwald. And Jesse has a story from that day. Why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Now, I didn't know any of that at the time. I was about 8 years old. I was in the car with my dad and my brother, and I'm assuming that my dad picked us up from school and might have been taking us to Clay Pit Pond, which is right behind us here. It's closed right now, but
State Park Preserve.
we would often come here and do kid things or whatever. And we had come from Bloomingdale, and we got most of the way down to the park, but the car was stopped by the police. I was in the back seat. I didn't have any understanding of what was going on. I just know that the street was very busy, and there was a lot of commotion. And I slid across and looked out the window, and I have this very vivid image all these years later of a house with the yard that looked like it was completely dug up. And I saw a man standing in sort of like a hole. I saw him from the waist up, and he was wearing like it looked like protective gear, maybe like coveralls, and he was pulling something out of a hole like a bag and putting it on a plank of wood that was beside him, next to the hole. And there were other bags. They weren't really large, but it was something that it just seemed odd. And my attention was caught by there was a bright yellow of some kind of a backhoe or something. It reminded me of like one of my brother's Tonka trucks. I don't know if it was digging or if it was stationary, but there was just a lot of commotion in the yard. It was like a sea of mud, and I saw another officer in some kind of a like a yellow like a raincoat, and the car went by, and I asked my dad, "What's going on? What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, they're probably putting in a pool."
Now,
And
we're approaching the house. Continue. And we're going to turn around. You're going to see it right behind us.
And I didn't I didn't know what was happening. We went home. We had dinner that night, and we had a little black and white television in our kitchen for the express purpose of watching the news. And what comes on the screen, but something very similar to what I had been looking at from our car window. And there's all this commotion, and my dad, well, what was happening was it was the investigation into the Biegenwald, um, looking for his victims in his mother's yard.
And what did your father say?
And my dad puts down his fork and he wipes his mouth and he says, "Well, I guess they weren't putting in a pool."
And I'm going to drop in the names of the victims and photos that are available online. We're here on the second leg of our meandering. Firstly, we were in Staten Island looking at the mother's home of Richard Biegenwald. Here in 6th Avenue, Asbury Park, we're across from 507 6th Avenue, which is significant because in June through October of 1982, Richard Biegenwald lived here with his then wife, Diane Marcellus, who he met in 1977 and became a fugitive after an attempted rape. And he was caught up and arrested in 1980, and he married her from a New York City jail. Shows what she was into, I guess. And soon she brought her co-worker, Teresa, into the fold, who Biegenwald was trying to become his protege. Teresa and Diana and Richard Biegenwald is said to have some sort of alleged drug-fueled sexual relationship, menage a trois. We don't know all the details. There's a book by John Rourke, The Jersey Shore Thrill Killer, which is very good for this information as well. But they lived here from June to October of 1982, and it was broken down into low-income apartments, and they lived in a few of them. And also living in a room there was Darren Fitzgerald, who became an accomplice with Biegenwald. And Teresa, he was, like I said, was becoming a protege, showed her how to shoot, and she was supposed to have killed a coworker as like a test, Betsy Bacon. Biegenwald was upset at her because she couldn't go through with it. So she went home in a drug-fueled, induced sleep, passed out, and Biegenwald got upset, left. He went to the Asbury Park boardwalk, where he met Anna
Accused
Olesowitz.
of murdering 20-year-old Anna M. Olesowitz of Camden on August 27, 1982. Miss Olesowitz was shot in the head. Teresa.
Short time later, he tried to wake up Teresa. She got up, told her, come on down to the garage, and there was a body in the garage under a mattress. And trying to get her used to his way of doing things, of handling bodies after he's killed them, he wanted her to manipulate the body, hold the leg, different things. And I will not go into the gruesome detail of how she was found, as described by Teresa when she later gave testimony to detectives, gave a statement to the detectives, because she ended up leaving and speaking to the cops. So this freaked her out. And poor Anna, who he met and picked up and lured into his car on the boardwalk, was found not too far from here after that incident in the garage. So the police did raid this apartment building, and they found a stash of all sorts of drugs and weapons. They even had a snake that they were draining milking the venom from. And this was in October. So then when Biegenwald and his accomplice, Darren Fitzgerald, were arrested, Fitzgerald, in exchange for a lesser charge, pointed out, wanted to tell the cops where certain bodies were that he helped Biegenwald bury. And some of those were at the Staten Island home, which you have saw in the earlier segment. We're here on Route 35 in Sunset in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And what this is significant for is this building behind me, which is now a dental facility, used to be a Burger King back in January of 1982. And this area right behind it, you'll see, is fenced off now. And I'm going to walk through. But several boys were playing, as kids do, cold, wintry day. And I'll swing around and you can see the lot behind me. Cold, wintry day, January 14th, 1983. As boys be boys, kids be kids, playing ball, running around, hooting and hollering. All the plants and greenery are frozen. Kind of a little worse than it is now because it's sort of the start of winter, November. We're going to walk over. But about 50 feet off a trail, they discovered something that scarred them for life. It was the remains of Anna Olesowitz.
In January of 1983, two kids are playing in an abandoned lot adjacent to a Burger King parking lot. During their little adventure going into this parcel of land, they discover a body, decayed by then, basically. Skeletal remains with some clothing. Interesting, no shoes.
I was the detective on duty. My captain sent me out there to take charge of the crime scene.
Kevin Quinn was the first person to examine the female body.
She had a black shirt on and jeans. And the body was face down with her arms kind of outstretched, her feet kind of outstretched, and the hair had kind of fallen down around the skull some, and then we moved the hair just a little bit, and I remember seeing the first hole, and you can't mistake it. It was a bullet hole. We actually found, when we picked up the skull, we could hear the spent rounds inside the head cavity.
So we're walking around checking the area out, and from the description that I've read in the book, and Jesse's doing a little bit of bird watching, this area must have been a little bit more wooded, and it's now for sale because there's asphalt, and sure, kids could be playing here, but we're going to see if we can meander a little bit and check out what remains of this park. As I said, she was found 50 feet off a trail. We don't know exactly where in this area, because this is just an empty lot now, lacking in trees and bushes as the kids were playing in, and it was turned into office buildings for construction and businesses. There's a Chevrolet dealership over there. But there's a road that comes up from over there, right here. It comes up. Is this the same trail or road? Could it be up a little ways? I don't know what that property is, and I don't want to cross into private property. But there's a road up that way. And this could have been old woods back then, as I said. But for all we know, poor Anna was found in this area over here. Or up the road on that property. We're here at St. Joseph's Cemetery on the last stop of this strange meandering. We opened this video visiting Staten Island, more specifically the former home of Sally Biegenwald, the mother of Richard Biegenwald. Richard Biegenwald, known as the Thrill Killer, was convicted of murdering 5 people between 1958 and 1982. He had strong links to additional victims, primarily young women and his associates lured or targeted in New Jersey. Biegenwald was apprehended January 1983, convicted of 6 murders, suspected of 8, and died in prison of respiratory kidney failure, March 10, 2008, just 3 days ago from the day of this recording, Friday the 13th, 2026. As the investigation proceeded, new charges were filed against Biegenwald in the murder of prison escapee William Ward, shot 5 times in the head and buried outside Neptune City, New Jersey. It was the Asbury Park home that Biegenwald brought Smith and Fitzgerald to the garage, whereupon they saw the body of Anna Marie Oleszkiewicz. Anna Marie was born on November 9, 1963, to Camden Fire Department Captain Robert Oleszkiewicz and his wife, Anna. She was sister to Robert Jr., Joseph, Carol, and Barbara. Anna Marie was a 1982 graduate of Pope Paul VI High School. She'd been enjoying the summer after her high school graduation and was preparing to begin her freshman year at Camden County College in the fall of 1982. Before midnight, Friday, August 27, 1982, while sitting barefoot on the Asbury Park Boardwalk's 2nd Avenue bench across from the Stone Pony, Anna Marie mysteriously disappeared. She had been visiting Asbury Park for the first time with her friend Kim. Neither of the girls knew the area, and Anna was supposed to wait for Kim. When Kim returned, Anna was gone. It would be 5 agonizing months until Anna was found. On January 4th, 1983, the body of 18-year-old Anna Oleszkiewicz was located behind a Burger King restaurant in Ocean Township, north of Asbury Park. Shot 4 times in the head, the body was fully clothed, and police found no evidence of rape. Now, in this final leg of our meandering, we come to the grave of Anna Marie Oleszkiewicz. There are many more crimes and numerous other victims Biegenwald is associated with. So, we have come to pay our respects to Anna and to all the victims
We cannot imagine the pain families have suffered in not knowing what has happened to their loved ones. In remembrance of Anna and the others, we're laying flowers for them all. Rest in peace.